One of the astronauts said, when we originally went to the moon, our total focus was on the moon. We weren't thinking about looking back at the Earth. But now that we've done it, that may well have been the most important reason we went.
We look down at the Earth from space. We see this amazing, indescribably beautiful planet. It looks like a living, breathing organism, but it also, at the same time, looks extremely fragile.
Because you go outside on a clear day and it's the big blue sky, and it's like it goes on forever, right? And how could we possibly, put enough stuff into it to fill it up with things that really change it? And yet, you see it from space, and it's this thin line which is just barely hugging the surface of the planet.
Anybody else who's ever gone to space says the same thing, because it really is striking and it's really sobering to see this paper-thin layer and to realize that that little paper-thin layer is all that protects every living thing on Earth from death.
Many of the great wisdom traditions of the Earth have pointed to what we're calling the overview effect. That is to say, they have realized this unity, this oneness of all life on Earth and of consciousness and awareness.
Within the Western tradition, I think it's quite new and quite shocking because there's been much more of a sense of separation. But if you look at other non-Western culture, the emphasis on those has always been on realization that the self and the world are not separate from each other, but that they're really interconnected.
Have you ever considered the odds of your own existence? What if I told you that statistically you're far more likely to win the lottery than to be here right now? Around 4.5 billion years ago, planet Earth was formed. And not only was it perfectly placed, neither too warm nor too cold, but it also happened to be at just the right place and time to attract all the key ingredients of life. And free from the ice that had kept them intact throughout their cosmic journey, these molecules miraculously began to fuse on minerals and eventually give rise to a single living microorganism. Life on Earth was born. And multiplying and evolving over generations, these little creatures spread across the planet, feeding on the poisonous gases in our atmosphere, producing oxygen in return. And the more of these gases they absorbed and locked away deep underground, and the more oxygen they produced, the more new species emerged. And as their populations grew and diversified, the more Earth's climate stabilized, and life evolved into ever more complex organisms. Nature experimented with many different designs, often erasing old ones completely, but always seeking the highest degree of adaptation, generation after generation. And in this symbiotic world, each species is a beneficiary as well as a contributor. Pollinators are fed by flowers in exchange for helping them to reproduce. Herbivores feed on grasslands and trees, enriching the soil and spreading seeds. Predators regulate their populations, stopping them from overgrazing. Scavengers help prevent the spread of disease, and insects and microorganisms act as nature's mighty maintenance team. Everything in nature is interconnected, and everything plays a part. Around 11,000 years ago, another miracle occurred. Our planetary weather system, until then largely erratic and unforgiving, suddenly entered a period of great stability, the Holocene. The mildness and regularity of its seasons led to a rise of more advanced life forms, with an emphasis on intelligence rather than strength. And that's when we arrived, evolved from stardust and a single-cell organism deep in the ocean floor to Homo sapiens, wise man, the most advanced species on Earth. Humans, more than any other known creature, have the ability not only to survive, but to thrive. And yet, beyond these phenomenal abilities, the true enabler of our success as a species is the abundance of assets that nature has offered us. A vast array of nutritious foods helped us develop our superbrains and advanced digestive system. Her hard materials and woods enabled us to build shelters and later great cities. Her fibers helped us withstand the elements and attract our mates. and many medicines enabled us to survive sickness, improve our health, and live longer lives. And perhaps most extraordinary of all, she always provided us with the materials and the techniques to make anything we could imagine possible. Over a century ago, humanity made a series of pivotal discoveries that would change everything. We were suddenly able to overcome our natural limitations. We could travel faster than our bodies or a horse could carry us, learn and understand much more than we could experience, communicate remotely, breathe underwater, and even fly in the sky. And thanks to scientific and medical progress and civil institutions like schools, healthcare, and lenders, billions of us have been lifted out of poverty. And the more we developed and liberated our societies, and the more we diversified our economies, as in nature, the more wealth and prosperity we gained. And as these advances spread around the world, our ease of existence began to improve dramatically. Our life expectancy, population, and standards of living exploded. Our triumph over the natural world seemed to offer all the solutions. But as we began to realize, nature's benevolence comes with two fundamental conditions: that we must not disrupt her natural cycles, nor take more than she can replenish. In the early 1970s, unbeknown to most of us, life on Earth reached a critical turning point. We broke the balance key to Earth's plentifulness by ignoring her only conditions. And the more we exploited and transformed nature, the more we destroyed the life systems key to our own survival. We began to live beyond our means, and we call this overshoot. Each year, we're using up our available resources earlier and earlier, and more on this later.